At Mahindra, we have a certain scrappiness in our DNA. We like to get into things, get involved and get our hands dirty, figure things out and do things ourselves.
How do you make a museum? How do you eat an elephant?
I have this massive treasure trove of Mahindra stories. I'm pretty much obsessed with history, and I've been collecting Mahindra stories from the time I did the core values project in the company.
The Mahindra Archives has been a continuous project documenting our rich history.
For this project, I asked people about their trials, their tribulations, their successes, their memories, the heroes, the people who inspired them. And they gave me a whole lot of wonderful material.
As outsiders, we wanted to get into the fabric of the company through its people. We needed all the stories we could get.
So we created a questionnaire and we set a very clear criteria. We picked up people from a cross-section of this vast company with a conscious bias towards those who've been with the company for a long time.
So much of the Mahindras run parallel with the country's history. The genesis of the company coincides with India's independence, and really there were too many stories to recount here. There is so much of history here that no one knows about.
And in every interaction, the core beliefs bubbled up. Whether we were doing interviews or we were skimming through the archives, which in itself was like interviewing people who were no longer with us.
While I may have my tentacles all over the organization, I haven't had my ear to the ground where brand is concerned. That is something Ronan does excellently. Who is the right person for this information and that story? Ask Ronan.
I reached out to all my WhatsApp groups, and friends in those groups reach out to their WhatsApp groups, and so on and so forth.
He's the agony aunt now, so he has a lot of friends.
There were so many interesting stories.
We looked at archives, magazines, stories published in books, newsletters, newspapers, even exit interviews.
Now we had a problem of plenty. Obviously, all these stories cannot make it into the museum.
So we clearly defined what a story needed to be. And using that definition, we were able to curate 1,296 stories.
And then began another round of distillation.
And it finally came down to 282 stories.
These stories then became the briefs for the artists.
And we looked for artists everywhere.
We called friends, acquaintances, past collaborators who'd worked on different projects across mediums, sculptors, graphic designers, muralists, everyone.
A lot of them were my rowdy friends, a random bunch of people.
All the artists showed their body of work. Somebody was carving figurines from chalks. Somebody had been fabricating artwork which consisted of fabricating three-wheelers. We had it all. We crafted a brief for each of these artists from the bank of our stories.
Then came the pandemic. We were on Instagram. We were hunting for people. It was actually so exciting.
No. Stalking is more like it. But you can imagine. See, for us, it was very, very important that we strike the right balance. Objects, they need to make you curious. Films inform you. The physical installations, they keep you engaged, and digital installations create an absolute immersion for you.
We needed to bring together the right mix of people, interpreting stories and expressing them in the best possible creative way.
And then we were good to start.
So how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. As a team, we're great at breaking problems down to size. So you can just imagine why all of us just love the exploded Batista.
The Batista is the most striking installation by my dear Shahrukh Irani. Can you imagine it is made to scale in actual size?
It's painstakingly put together.
You look at all these small pieces and you feel like, oh wait, I can put this back together. That is the concept of do it yourself. I can do this, I get this, I can figure this out. I actually can give this a shot myself. Before the IT team officially came on board, Harsh, Ronan and I, we were trying to figure out these quotations we got from hardware and software vendors.
None of us have anything to do with IT.
But you know, when you want to do something, you figure it out. We made this grid, we plotted cost, importance, quality, and you know what? We figured it out. It wasn't perfect, but then come on, nothing ever is.
I worked with the IT team on the hype boxes and never even seen one before.
Personally, Mandar, Vijay, myself had never worked with hype boxes. It was very complex technology. There are multiple areas of failure if one thing goes wrong.
And so much happened with these hype boxes.
You need to combine creativity, design, content, and technology to create something like this.
So it became a labor of love that everyone contributed to. Prakash, Mandar and Vijay handled the technical stuff along with Himani. Elsie and Harsh coordinated the artistic side of things. Himani, Jay and I contributed to content, and Prochi and Shruti provided the overall structure and grouping.
It was super fun. When you're not doing something new, you're not really stretching yourself, are you?
The new thing was the museum app, and I'm asking myself, why am I managing the Tech Mahindra app? It's because everybody does everything. We find ourselves reaching out and offering help even when it's not our domain. So when Anand came up with this idea of augmenting the museum with an app that has an audio guide, we all just went in and did it.
Ronan and I came up with a wish list of absolute delight features.
We wanted an AR feature where we would point the app at a postcard and the postcard would play a video.
Obviously, the solution lay with TechM. So I spoke to them and they were very enthusiastic, and in fact they did the entire app as their contribution to this museum.
They came up with even more comprehensive ideas. We needed an admin portal, we needed a website to support the app. They made a solid backend, and that backend would give us all the stats we need. We needed a booking system, but instead we got a merger of art and technology. With this app, we got the kids in a science museum kind of feeling.
For Harsh and me, the challenge was that we didn't have much of a budget, and the space is really, really small. And we had to tell 75 years worth of stories.
We had been briefed that the space is really, really small, but we had to make do. Because asking for space was difficult, but what if we got more space? Would we have got more money? No. So now, how to bring all these stories to life in this limited space with limited resources?
We thought we'll go to the space and get some inspiration.
Let me put it this way, it didn't happen instantly. But once we figured out the metaphor, which is the Nautilus spiral, and we knew where we would locate the skylight in the space, the rest of the concept for the museum just fell in place. And we were confident that it would all work.
So did the core team. We presented it and it was approved in the first go.
And if I show you the original plan versus what we have achieved, there is not even a 5% variation in it.
I always tell my team, the experience of creating an experience must remain an unforgettable experience. Today, when we look at the space right now, everyone is just so proud. We did it.
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 We did it. We created a space where Mahindra lives and breathes, today and tomorrow.
So how did we make a museum? By doing it ourselves.